we decided to have this presentation in the form of an interview, since it's not a real scientific presentation presenting a research that I have concluded, but more some things I have looked into and where I tried to design a few models, which I would rather see as best practices and not as a scientific research. I do not claim, even though it's science informed, I do not claim a significant scientific value. Not yet.
Yeah. So I will help you with that.
Okay.
So starting off, who are you?
Okay. Well, my name is Steven. I live in Rotterdam, and I work at Avans University of Applied Sciences in Breda as a lecturer and a coach for students in their internships and graduation projects. And in my free time, I enjoy traveling and walking and doing research, even stories and poetry and photography, which what triggered me was the presentation by Valentina and Jasmine about going in nature and finding a tree. What I like is seeing faces in trees and in rocks, and make stories about those, or at least present them. Well, the older I get, the more I feel like a child. That's generally who I am.
Okay. And what is your research topic and the importance of it?
Well, right now, mostly I'm focusing on psychological safety related to neurodivergent individuals and their role in neurodiverse teams. And for individuals, it's important that they are being valued and stimulated to be their authentic selves, and to be able to show it for their colleagues and to feel also the appreciation. But it's also important for teams. If teams are not inclusive, there is no psychological safety, and that's the other part. Neurodiversity, psychological safety. Psychological safety is a major factor in employee well-being and engagement, and this cannot exist when some team members do not feel at ease, which is not always clear when they have learned to adapt their behavior and mask their needs. So team may seem all right and thriving, but you may see some people are a bit more introverted. Are they real introverts? Perhaps. But perhaps they don't want to show everything by fear of rejection or denial or ridiculization. You don't know. So that's why you first should need an inclusive team, that you invite people to open up, to not just for their own benefit, but for the benefit of the group, of all people, neurodivergent and neurotypical people, so the entire community.
Okay. And how do you relate to your topic personally and professionally?
Well, my neurofeatures correspond with autism, with ADHD, most ADD, not too not too much the age, and giftedness. I call myself a highly creative personality, which, well, this doesn't fit into neurodiversity categorization, or at least not yet. So that's the topic of neurodiversity. Psychological safety is, I relate to that personally because in my former job, there was no psychological safety, and I felt my current job as a relief. it's not an ideal situation. It could improve, but at least I feel valued. I feel recognized. And that's why I dived into it. Psychological safety, that's what I see as freedom from fear within the social setting, like a job. There's an author, internationally recognized author, Amy Edmondson, and she has defined 4 key elements. First, you dare to express yourself. Then you dare to ask for help. You dare to propose ideas, and you dare to make mistakes. And I used these elements in my models. I'll explain that later. So it's, well, as it failed in my previous job, the consequences of what happened there in hindsight is a personal relation with my neurodivergent traits. But, well, that I want to go into detail about what happened then. The atmosphere was toxic, at least it was for me.
Okay. And what is the focus on your research?
Well, I focus on the broader context of inclusion first. The word inclusion may have a negative connotation, not for us, but for people outside. They may see neurodiversity as people who either who need to adapt or who need help. And what I try to do is to stress the advantages, what organizations may gain from more engagement and well-being of the employers, what they have to gain with inclusion, including neuro-inclusion. So what I've done is that I try to make psychological safety more practical, into a scale model, into where organizations and individuals can develop, and at the same time relating to neurodiversity. Since people within the neurospectrum, they need inclusion to be their own authentic self and not trying to adapt. If you try to adapt, you may be a good worker, a good colleague, but as you're not yourself, you're more susceptible to work stress, to burnout, maybe even to depressions. So, if after showing the advantages of psychological safety, my research has 3 focal points. First is to find a gap between the current situation and the desired situation, so the organization knows how to grow, both in the teams and for the individuals. Knowing this gap will enable the organization and its employees to develop and to enhance engagement and well-being. That was the first. The second focal point is the introduction of psychological safety, including neurodiverse aspects, since that is alien to most organizations. They don't know how to table the topic. And to table the topic, you need to feel safe. If you don't feel safe, you won't talk about psychological safety, and you will even less talk about being neurodivergent. You won't say anything. So how do you introduce the topic? How do you make an atmosphere for people to feel safe and to feel open? How do you stimulate the open-mindedness in organizations? That's the second point. And the third and so far final part is to sustain the process approach. Try and include key performance indicators. Well, those tools are typically used to guard the procedures in place while minimizing the deviation. And I think this is mostly the ancient industrial revolution neurotypical approach. But truth is, most people in organizations are either neurotypical or behave like neurotypicals as they adapt. So I should cater for organizations to monitor the progress in a way they think is objective, where they feel they are in control. So that's the third topic. The third part is about monitoring, and the neurodiversity is mainly woven in the first part, in how to get how to show psychological safety that can be developed and that can make teams thrive, including neurodivergent colleagues.
Okay. And what are your main findings in literature that you built upon in your research?
Literature. Well, both neurodiversity and psychological safety are relatively new topics. There may be thousands of publications on psychology, but psychological safety is relatively new. It started with Amy Edmondson, and when I look at studies of neurodiversity, usually they concentrate on features and that challenges, sometimes guidelines for help in the medical field and the psychiatric field, but rarely about qualities of the persons involved and their benefits, along with the challenges in their working environment. So after Amy Edmondson, there are other authors that are authors in the positive psychology that may also help seeing the positive side, the advantages of neurodiverse teams. And those authors, maybe one of those is David Marquette. He turned the ship around. It was not about psychological safety, and it was not about neurodiversity, but what he did is to flip the management, to put the manager in the place of the worker and the worker in the place of the manager, to have more to change the group dynamics, which is one of the ways to give the group more responsibility and more inclusion. And another source I used is the broaden and build theory by Barbara Fredrickson. This broaden and build means that you build on positive emotions. You start talking about things that people like, that people feel happy with, and if people are happy, they're more relaxed. And if they're more relaxed, they're more open to discuss topics they might not feel too comfortable with, but if the atmosphere is good, they're more open, and that's and that could also help creating a more inclusive working environment.
Okay.
If you like, I can add the references of this literature later if you present if you record the presentations.
Yeah, it's all right. And what have you achieved, and where do you or did you face any challenges?
Well, so far I've achieved my theoretical framework, and I developed a scale model. I can show a few examples. I'll try to share. I'll try to share my my screen. How can I? Okay, that's. I see the second screen. First, the scale model. Can you see a model?
Not yet.
Few colors.
I personally don't see it. Maybe you could, yeah.
Okay, now, there is a scale model for a safety culture, and I use that for psychological safety, just to find to show organizations where are we? Are we still trying to define what psychological safety is, or do we just ignore the topic? Then they're inactive. Sometimes they have heard about psychological safety and they think, well, we might wish to table the topic for discussion. And there's some growing trust and confidence. There's some growth in leadership and personal leadership, but not too much. Once they start to work on it seriously, I call them adaptive. They adapt to the needs of the individuals and also the needs of the teams to become more inclusive. And once they see the advantages, usually they see how they can grow and become proactive and finally innovative. But what this means, I can explain that in different graphs. I have placed the confidence and trust in various rows. It's too large for a PowerPoint presentation. That's why I go through it like this. And I made a few criteria: open communication, frankness, taking risks, respect and appreciation. I derived these criteria from various sources in literature, and now it's up to the organization to fill out the blanks, to describe where are we and to see what kind of organization are we and what do we need to grow in psychological safety. If I now relate this to neurodiversity, I have, for example, I've taken the feature giftedness. I've got other graphs for autism, dyslexia, ADHD, OCD, HSP. So I have 3 dimensions: cognitive, mental, social, emotional, and physical and practical. And I make lists of characteristics, qualities, personal challenges, social challenges, the balance between those, personal leadership and guidance and collegiality. And I mentioned that, well, the features in the graph, which may help people in their guidance of colleagues, of co-workers, of anyone who may have special needs and special abilities, may use this to discuss what contribution may I have to the team and what do I need from the team, so we thrive jointly. So that's more or less the idea. I have more graphs to show if anyone wants to see them. And if you're not present right now and you listen to this presentation later, you can find them also in the papers added to the recording after this presentation. So I will close the. I will close the presentation. Just see how I can do that. I don't see anything anymore. I think I lost the Zoom meeting.
I think the meeting is on the bottom right of your control.
Is it the blue button? No, it's not.
Oh.
Now, Copilot asked me what I want to do, but I don't want to involve Copilot right now. I think I'm a bit lost here.
Do you have Mac or Windows, or like what's the keyboard?
I think I can also stop the sharing. I don't know if that works.
Yes. Well, now I see you. Okay. I mean, thank you. Okay, let's continue. Well, my challenges. You also asked about my challenges. Well, the practical research venue has been a venue that I had in mind has been postponed and is likely to be cancelled. And I'm discussing options now with a second organization, and the educational facility where I work may apply this and learn, but it's not sure. So, well, if I have no real place to find if my findings are true and what I need and what I may have forgotten, then I still see this as a challenge.
Okay. And how did you achieve what you have got, or what will you do to achieve what you need?
Well, I started in September last year, working diligently and in my hyper focus. Now I need to go out and play in the field and see what else what else I can get to complete the entire concept. And what really helps is some of the presentations I've seen today that gave me ideas to contact, and I think that's huge benefit of this online meeting, that we may inspire each other.
Yes, certainly. And what is your outlook on the short and longer term?
Well, on the short term, I may publish what I've got. And perhaps I split my research. I don't want just to use one organization to find if it's true or not, if it's valuable or not. So I'm not sure. On the long term, I will publish this. On the long term, I may continue, but I'm not yet sure how. Perhaps a business consultancy. Perhaps I use this for enhancing vitality, for preventing burnout, or for helping people in an early burnout process. I'm not a doctor. and I don't do any diagnosis. I don't do any therapy. But anything that comes before the medical process, I think I could help, because there's a strong correlation between, for example, ADHD and burnout. So that's more on the long term.
Okay.
And this also includes art and walking. So I was thrilled to hear about that.
Mhm. We do have 5 minutes left. We do have your recommendations, but I also see that I think Daniel has a question. Would it be handy to do the question first and then the recommendations?
Well, I think
It's not a question.
Oh, okay.
yes. If it's a short question, please ask it now.
Yeah, sweet. So basically, what you said goes hand in hand with what I do, like creating a positive manual or like a positivity matrix of interaction between several neurotypes to prevent. You want to prevent burnout. I want to prevent other stuff. So maybe join forces.
Sure, we will. Okay, now the recommendations, I have 3. First, engage yourself. Start anywhere. Wasting is a waste of time unless you prepare consciously or unconsciously. Then it's not really waiting. The pitfall is that you keep pondering and will never ever start. So if you do not know where to start, then use your intuition. You know so much more than you know. Use scientific sources to inspire you and to show where you are right or wrong, but always keep your context in mind. So that's the first recommendation, engage yourself. The second one, never give up. You may deviate from your goal, take a dozen of side tracks, making them walk the plank and rejoin with every insight you get. Keep your focus if you can and when you can. If you cannot, have another coffee and find a better one that includes your original plan. This avoids loose ends, typical for ADHD researchers, while offering a bigger picture which keeps the challenge and the energy going. And the third recommendation is a short one. Enjoy, laugh, and celebrate. You learn every day, and you may share what you learned and learn from what other people learned in return.
Thank you very much.
You're
We
welcome.
3 minutes left. We could use that. I've seen a conversation happening in the chat. That might be interesting to read, and maybe you want to talk about that a little bit. Ben,
I see a lot of discussion. I don't see many questions, rather observations, points for discussions.
Ben has his.
If I scroll for question marks, I don't see many.
Would you mind if so I can turn my perspective on this into questions, if that's
Yes,
useful?
please.
Because I think we were kind of just getting it into it on the sidelines based on some of the points that you were raising. So I mean, my slightly, as Peter Backer pointed out, potentially slightly jaded view from having been a CTO and been involved with VCs in different capacities at different points in my life, is that startups, some startups like the notion of neurodiverse founders, being able to work with those neurodiverse founders, wellness amongst the board of a startup, and so on and so forth. But I mean, the money trumps everything at the end of the day. And I really see they might see it as a productivity tool, or they might just see it as lip service, because really the goal of everything is to make money. And how can neurodiverse people properly feel safe in those kind of environments? Because I myself certainly have felt unsafe in those environments before.
Well, I've been struggling with that for a long time before starting. Until I found, more or less by coincidence, a report by Gallup, that is an international press organization, that about 86% of the workers are not too much involved. This, as such, has nothing to do with neurodiversity. But it has to do with money. And this counts for 9% of the gross national product, which is quite a lot. If you manage to have the involvement of the workforce to double the involvement of the workforce, you save 4.5% of the gross national product, or at least your share. And to involve the workforce, you need an open sphere where people can talk open-mindedly. And that means inclusion. And inclusion means that you take also neurodiversity into account. So that is a key benefit of investing in efforts to be more inclusive and also more neuro-inclusive. So you get a better production, more productivity in teams, and a better atmosphere. People might wish to join your company rather than other companies. So you are more competitive in the labor market. The clients, they know when you have a good team, so they are more satisfied. So apart from the direct extra income, you have even more spin-offs if you really take inclusion seriously. Not just for the record, I mean.
I know you for a long time now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
No. Can you hear me, Stephen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I know you for a long time now. Okay. So the connection is not very good right now. Maybe I stop because everybody's waiting now. And I have something important to announce, but on the other hand, I wouldn't take all your time now.
Can't you do it in 1 minute?
Okay, I try. If you hear me, I'll try.
Yes.
You know, Stephen, you're a very positive person. I know you because you're a colleague of mine on the academic for a few years. And we have to take care to be, and that's what I heard for in the chat, that we have to be, we don't have to be naive. I'm not cynical, but we should not be naive, because from naivism we get cynical and maybe disappointed. But the only thing we can do is share our positivity from what we have all together, Stephen, but me also. I have so many ideas and I can't get rid of them because I don't succeed in getting them over to the people I be with. You understand?
Yes, I do.
So the only thing we should do together is to be consistent in our messages. And at one point we will succeed, but don't frustrate yourself. Be too eager to make your points. That's what my message is
Thank you. Well, giving up is not in my dictionary.
No. Okay. Thank you very much.
I will take it slowly. And I'm not afraid of rejection anymore, since I discovered how to be my authentic self. As long as I don't, as soon as I start to mask, I'm vulnerable to rejection. As I told this morning, I said, well, if you're blue and I'm red, you may disagree with me because I'm red, but it doesn't hurt me. Well, we know we disagree, but that's not a major point. But if I try to be blue every day of the week, every week of the year, and after a year you say, well, you're insufficiently blue, then I feel bad because you reject me for trying to adapt. So I don't try to adapt or sometimes I must, I admit, but at least as possible. And at least when I adapt, I'm conscious of that. So if people say, well, you're naive or you won't succeed, well, maybe, but I'll try anyway. And I'll take all good advices into account. Well, that's me. Thank you for your support, Peter.